Bonjour et bienvenue à toutes et à tous. Une fois n'est pas coutume, l'interview du jour se fera par écran interposé. En effet, nous allons interviewer le docteur Cody Roll. Il séjourne aux États-Unis, plus précisément à Las Vegas. Il est 8 heures du matin pour lui. Et nous allons parler de neurotechnologie. Donc c'est un expert en la matière. Il va également nous parler de neuroméditation, qui est une passion que nous partageons, lui et moi. Et d'ailleurs, nous partageons d'autres choses parce que lui comme moi, nous avons été actifs pendant de longues années au sein de la défense de nos pays respectifs. Donc le docteur Cody Roll a été psychiatre au sein de la US Navy et se recyclé maintenant dans ce secteur où il effectue énormément de recherches et de tests qu'il partage avec nous via sa chaîne YouTube. Donc il a quand même rassemblé près de 40 000 abonnés, fervents abonnés qui s'intéressent aux derniers développements dans le domaine de la neurotechnologie. Donc c'est donc le but de cette interview, de lui poser quelques questions pour nous faire découvrir, nous, Européens francophones, ce qu'il existe à l'heure actuelle sur le marché, ce qui est accessible financièrement, puisque vous savez que moi j'aime bien travailler dans des limites acceptables. Il est évident qu'on peut acheter du matériel à 2000 euros. Ici, vous verrez que j'ai imposé une limite et voir si dans cette limite, il peut néanmoins nous recommander du matériel fiable et performant. En tout cas, je suis super content de l'accueillir et j'espère que cette interview va vous intéresser. Nous nous retrouverons après pour faire un résumé du matériel qu'il nous suggère. Alors, à tout à l'heure.
Well, good morning, Dr. Cody Raw. I'm really happy that you accepted this interview, and I'm quite excited because I'm a big fan. So I'm not watching Netflix in the evening. I'm just watching the videos of Cody Raw on YouTube because it's so inspiring for me because I'm also a freak about neurofeedback. So yeah, for the French people, now I'm not supposed to talk French for sure, but can you introduce yourself just a little bit? Who are you? And certainly, why did you do the switch? Because you're military like me. Why did you that switch into that new career?
Yeah, I'm Dr. Cody Rawl. I grew up in Alaska and I did my residency training in psychiatry with the US Navy. I was stationed at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, which is in Bethesda, Maryland, just north of Washington, D.C. there. And
Right.
while I was there, all this fascinating brain imaging technology was there. I remember seeing this 60 Minutes special about veterans that were coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan and had been exposed to improvised explosive devices, IEDs, and they were having all these psychiatric symptoms like anxiety, along with dizziness and tinnitus and those types of symptoms. And this new brain imaging technology validated what they were feeling. And I thought that that was just such a remarkable thing to do for someone. It's someone who's experiencing psychological and psychiatric symptoms, and here it is reflected in the actual brain tissue. So I got extremely interested in brain imaging, and that was about the time I was wanting to make YouTube videos just about neuroscience in general and self-development. And it ended up that there was a couple of devices available even back then, like Emotive and the Muse headband, that were doing more rudimentary EEG electroencephalography work. And it was the perfect intersection because I could talk about these devices on YouTube. And unlike the $3 million MRI machines, the audience could actually purchase these devices and use them at home. So there was more of a back and forth exchange. And neuroscience, I think, became very real for a lot of people. It democratized what had been traditionally just siloed away in research labs. And right now, with the rise of extremely powerful machine learning and artificial intelligence algorithms and ways of interacting with these devices, it's a very exciting time to be interacting with neuroscience wearables.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, and it leads me to the next question because also in Europe, we're living in an era of fast technological development. We have all kinds of wearables, HRV. Now we have vagal nerve stimulation, all that kind of stuff. Why would you say that neurofeedback is specifically relevant right now?
I think one of the most pertinent entryway points, well, I really like it for meditation, but there's only a subset of the population that meditates regularly. So it's a very niche topic. And I love meditation. I love talking about it. I love posting videos about it. I love posting my ideas about how to use these neurofeedback devices in different aspects of the meditation. There's a lot of different aspects of meditation. There's a focus component, there's a mindfulness component, there's an energetic energy field awareness component. And I think that all these can be enhanced by neurofeedback devices. But I think for the general population, an example that's actually really more of an entry point is for sleep. So we can do a lot of things for sleep right now, like have audio that comes in and out of very calming audio landscapes like rain falling to help people get to sleep. And the Muse actually offers this right now. They call it the digital sleeping pill. And
Yes.
it's just fascinating what they're able to do with brainwaves. And it's a classic example of what we've used EEG for in the past in mainstream clinical medicine. There's actually very readily identifiable markers in the EEG signal for sleep and stages of sleep. So these wearables parlay into that pretty easily. So I think that sleep is actually a really easy entry point. And for the people that are a little bit more niche, I love it for meditation as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. I'm a fan of meditation as well. So after my military career, I basically turned to Buddhism, and I'm more like into insight meditation, like Vipassana. It helped me a lot, especially the feedback on specific brain waves like alpha and SMR. SMR is helping me a lot. But I guess you do more like energetic meditation. Do you have one word or two about that one?
Sure, there's quite a few different schools of thought when it comes to this, but I just put out a uh, video about Kriya Yoga, and I've been talking about this for years, but it has to do with visiting different, what we traditionally would call chakras in your energy field, and just being able to sense that they're there, as well as different techniques to contract or expand the energy field and get energy flowing through them. And I found it to be sort of a roadmap to changing my internal state during my meditation sessions more reliably. Like I remember when I first started meditating, it was just staring at a wall for 20 minutes and hoping something dramatic would happen. And there's utility to that. It teaches patience, it teaches mindfulness. But I think that at least my experience has been I enjoy having a roadmap, I enjoy having a strategy to meditation. And if I can get my internal state to change dramatically during my sessions, I feel like they've been more productive and I feel like I've actually done something to my brain. So that's where I'm at with my meditation practice for now.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. Yeah, just another sub question. We have in Belgium this week, we have a big scientific event which is called Brain and Music. I've been working with MindLift for months now. What I saw is a dramatic increase in performance when I get a audio return on with isochronic tones. Do you have any thinking about that?
Yeah, there's a lot of science coming about different beats and tones that can change our brainwave state. I wish I've had more time to talk about it on the channel. I think that these companies that I've been working with are going to start incorporating that more into their devices. And it's really exciting because you have a feedback loop. You have the change in your brainwaves according to the audio that's being delivered. Neurosity has definitely been exploring that, but I think we're going to get some of that with different devices that are coming out, like the Neurable headphones potentially. I don't want to speak for them and what they decide to incorporate into their hardware, but I think that there'll be more opportunities for me to explore that and talk about it on the channel. And I'm glad that people are getting good use out of it. There's definitely some good science behind it.
Now is a big question. Now in Europe, we have kind of limited budget. We're going through some difficult economical times. We have war to the east. We have also the east. So I think, like I would say, €300, or let's say $300 is like a psychological border. What devices would you advise in this range, in this money range?
Yeah, I think the Muse headband is right around that point. I think that the Muse 2 is a little less than that. Muse S is a little higher than that, but you've used MindLift, so I'm sure you're pretty familiar with the Muse headband at this point. I just think that the variability of exercises and the different options that they offer at that price point makes it a good entry point device for people. I've tried a lot of other devices, and I have a lot of opinions on those other platforms that people can use for various other things. But I've found, as far as the amount of variability of what you can explore with the headband, as well as what it has available for that price point, is a good entry point to these wearable devices.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely Muse. What about Mandy? It's different technology.
Yeah, no, I was going to mention Mendy as well. I think that Mendy is a little bit more specific for people that are struggling with focus issues.
Mhm.
And what I'm seeing is like the Mendy either really works for some people and really helps with their focus issues, whether they have ADHD or undiagnosed focus problems. And I'm not saying it treats ADHD, because I can't officially, say that because of regulatory
Sure.
bodies, but there's a lot of studies coming out about how, just to back up a little bit, Mendy uses functional near-infrared spectroscopy. It's a different technology than the EEG. EEG primarily tracks brainwaves through electrical signals that come from the brain through the scalp. But FNIRS actually shines a red laser light through the skull. And what happens is that red light hits blood patterns and actually diffracts. And then the sensors pick up the diffraction patterns from the light. And from that, you can tell how oxygenated the blood is. And that's a biomarker for how hard that brain tissue is working, right? Because if that brain tissue is consuming that oxygen, it's going to require more blood flow. And we can track that with technologies like FNIRS. FNIRS is getting very exciting on the higher end. There's actually been people that are starting to be able to do thought to text capabilities with FNIRS, but these are higher end systems. With Mendy right now, we're just tracking the frontal lobe blood flow. And there's quite a bit of evidence that if you can increase the blood flow to your frontal lobe, especially if you've had issues with focus or impulsivity, it can help lower those symptoms and help train your focus. So I've actually been using it to be as a primer before my meditation exercises. I noticed that if I try to get right into my meditation after I wake up, it takes me longer to get engaged with those energy centers that I spoke about earlier. And if I do a priming exercise with Mendy, it's like it wakes my brain up, it gets it engaged and ready to go for my meditation exercises. So I think that Mendy is coming along as a device. It doesn't have as many features as the Muse to offer people, which is why I'm saying Muse might be a better entry point for people that are doing meditation. But if you have issues with focus and impulsivity, and you're okay with really doubling down on what they have there on the app, they've been adding a lot more on the app, a lot of journaling and a lot of information about mental health. But there really is, at this point, only one game that you can engage in. So if you're really serious about improving your focus and want to be diligent and disciplined about doing the same game every day to improve your focus, Mendy is a great option. If you want more variability, Muse is probably a better entry point.
Well, I'm born in '66, so I'm more like a brainwave guy, because it was really popular in the '80s. And then from the '90s, you had the new technology with fMRI and PET scan. So we deleted a little bit these very interesting, according to me, brainwave patterns. Now, this psychologist, probably you know him, but it's Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, which is kind of is the father of the flow theory. He said control of consciousness determines quality of life. I think that's really striking, because according to me, but I might be wrong, dominant brainwaves will determine your level of consciousness. It will have an impact on that one. So I would like to hear your thoughts about that one.
I think that, first of all, EEG is very complicated. So we're still trying to tease out what different signals we can actually use to understand how developed someone is as far as their meditation capabilities, how well they're getting sleep, how well they're able to focus on certain things. But one of the biomarkers that's become apparent to me over the last couple of months is really exciting. It's called peak alpha. So within the alpha band, about 8 to 12 hertz, 8 to 12 oscillations per second in that EEG signal, there's actually in an individual person an area within that band where the amplitude is the highest. And where that amplitude is the highest is called your peak alpha. And a lot of studies have been coming out showing that peak alpha actually has to do with how much sleep you've gotten, how good your meditation sessions are, and maybe even is linked to IQ, some people are saying. So as far as consciousness goes, I think, yeah, we have a long way to go. There's some talk about gamma wave bursts at high levels of meditation practice, but one of the more practical biomarker examples that I think is getting incorporated into devices like the Muse headband, as well as the higher end Sensei headset that I've been talking about lately, is peak alpha. And the exciting thing is that they're starting to collect population data, people all different ages, genders, backgrounds, and understanding where people are at with that marker, and show you kind of where you stand against the general population, so that you can see that the brain training is paying off. Because what we do see is that with training with these systems, you can actually increase your peak alpha.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, that's maybe a question from a novice, but would you associate flow more like with a alpha or peak alpha or gamma?
I don't think that flow state's been correlated with peak alpha quite yet, but it wouldn't surprise me. I think that peak alpha has to do with getting into the present moment. It has to do with how easily your brain is able to switch into different brain networks. And that's how I think about flow. Or, are you stuck in your default mode network, thinking about yourself all the time and worrying and ruminating? Or are you using your salience network to switch into the task positive network and be completely present and in flow state? And I think that these brainwaves are markers for how powerful you can switch back and forth between the circuitries.
Well, I have a last question, because I know you have a busy schedule. What would be good tips to develop best practice as a novice neurofeedback user?
Start with the basics, even going as far as just doing some meditation exercises without the neurofeedback, because the neurofeedback adds a whole layer of complexity onto the meditation exercises. So I really like Headspace as an app, and they do have a free trial. So if you're just getting started in meditation, you might want to do Headspace for a month or two, just to provide some structure to your meditative practice. Teach yourself how to ground, how to do a body scan, and how to focus on your breath and be able to bring your attention back to your breath if your mind wanders. And then after you've done that foundation, add that extra layer of complexity with the neurofeedback. And for example, what I like to do with the Muse is that I like to do a little bit of grounding and preparation in my meditation before actually calibrating with the Muse. So I do about 5 minutes of preparation, and then I'll calibrate with the Muse. And really with the Muse, what you're trying to do is, for anybody that has done it before, if you're in the zone with the Muse, you'll hear these birds come up, and that tells you that you're in the zone. If you get distracted, it'll be a lot of wind and waves within the classic soundscape, and I know they have a lot of other soundscapes now. But the challenge with the Muse is just after you've done your grounding and your body scan and picked a meditation object to focus on, whether that be your breath or one of these energy centers, just try to maintain your attention on that meditation object using the Muse neurofeedback for extended periods of time. And if you do that, if you can do that for 15 or 20 minutes, I think that what you'll notice is that after you've done that, you can take the Muse headband off and actually feel your perception a little deeper. And then if you want to go into some Kriya Yoga exercises after the Muse exercise, that's something that might be a little bit more powerful after you've maintained that sustained attention on the meditation object with the neurofeedback going.
Yeah.
So there's layers of complexity to this. And, to summarize, I'd say start with an app that doesn't have the neurofeedback first, like Headspace, then add on a layer of Muse neurofeedback meditation. Then after all of that, if you want to do some more energetic meditations, take a look at Kriya Yoga techniques. There's a good book, J.C. Stevens, Kriya Yoga Secrets. Joe Dispenza does a lot of great explanations about these Kriya Yoga techniques and becoming supernatural, his book. And there's also Dr. Gilbert on Gaia has this sacred geometry program that I talked about in video that I just put up that blew my mind. I mean, Robert Gilbert's explanation of these energy centers that contract and dilate was better than I ever felt like I could have explained on YouTube. So if anybody's interested in more advanced techniques, take a look at that Robert Gilbert Sacred Geometry program on Gaia.
Good, but definitely, I mean, the baseline, as from the moment you switch over to neurofeedback, because it's all based on operant conditioning, is don't force anything. Let your brain work for you. That's the baseline of it.
Yeah, that's why I like to set the foundation first and then basically use the neurofeedback for guidance on sustained attention. I think that's where it shines the most as far as meditative practice right now.
Thank you very much. Very nice advice, and I think we can shed a light on different stuff, especially here in Europe, because as I said, the French material is quite limited, and unfortunately, all these applications are in English only. But I mean, as from the moment you get sound in the feedback, it's not really necessary to manage your English language by then. So I think it's still relevant for French-speaking people to use these devices. So,
yep, there's audio without having to understand the English. So I think it's applicable for sure.
No, I would like to thank you very much for your time. I think it's really interesting. So I will take some time to put subtitles on this one. So by the time people get this, it's going to be subtitled in French. And I would like to encourage them to train some English and to follow you on your YouTube channel. I think it's big. And if I'm not mistaken, you're also giving some lessons in the Mendy app.
Yes. There's the lessons in the Mendy app as well.
Yeah, I found them really, really useful, short and sweet, to the point. It was really helpful. So I would like to thank you very much. I remain a fan of you, so I will keep on following you on YouTube every time you bring something else or something new. And yeah, I wish you good luck, because I think the future will be quite busy. If this is your new business, you will have about every month a new device popping out. So you have some work.
Yeah, thanks, Fred. We'll keep in touch, and I'd be happy to do another interview in a couple of months, 6 to 12 months, as things progress.
Great. I'm really happy. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Fred. Take care.
Voilà, j'espère que cette courte vidéo vous a plu, que cette interview avec le docteur Cody Roll a été intéressant. Je vais encore prendre quelques minutes, parce que quand je dis courte vidéo, ça fait quand même déjà 20 minutes que je vous monopolise. Quelques courtes minutes pour faire un résumé de ce qu'il a dit. En termes d'application, donc on commence à zéro, on ne va pas investir dans du matériel de neurofeedback. On va se lancer dans certaines applications. Il a mentionné Headspace, qui est principalement en anglais. Je pense qu'il y a quelques vidéos en français, en tout cas sur YouTube. Mais il en existe évidemment sur le marché francophone. Je ne peux que vous suggérer Petit Bambou, qui est largement connu, et une autre application que j'apprécie tout particulièrement, qui s'appelle Namatata. Je vais vous renseigner tout cela à la fin de la vidéo. Si néanmoins, après un certain temps, cela vous titille, vous aimeriez quand même avoir un feedback, un retour en temps réel de ce qui se passe là en haut dans la caboche, il a mentionné deux appareils. Nous avons mis cette fameuse limite de 300 €, cette barre psychologique en dessous de laquelle j'aime bien travailler en général, parce que bon, on n'a pas tous 1000 ou 2000 € à donner à du matériel de professionnel. Mais en tout cas, il a mentionné celui-ci qui est le bandeau Muse. Ici, c'est un Muse 2 qui comporte, en fait, vous voyez ici, 4 capteurs et dont la technologie, en fait, c'est la technologie ECG, électrocardiogramme, va vous donner une lecture de votre activité cérébrale traduite selon un algorithme en termes de zone de calme, zone d'activité ou zone de neutre. Il existe même un capteur supplémentaire si jamais vous voulez encore aller plus loin. À ce moment-là, il faut prendre un abonnement sur l'application MindLift, que je ne vais pas renseigner pour le moment, parce qu'elle est assez onéreuse. Ils vont vous donner un capteur que vous allez pouvoir balader sur des zones spécifiques de votre cuir chevelu, de votre crâne, pour y mesurer l'activité locale. Très intéressant, parce que vous allez avoir énormément d'informations. Vous travaillez à ce moment-là avec ce qu'on appelle un neurocoach qui va pouvoir intervenir dans l'application pour vous donner des programmes et les adapter en fonction de vos besoins. Sachez que ça existe, ça s'appelle MindLift. Il existe d'autres applications qui travaillent avec Muse, c'est-à-dire si cet appareil est fiable, hein, et que je peux vraiment vous le conseiller les yeux fermés. Ici, nous avons le modèle Muse 2, Muse 2. Il existe aussi le tout nouveau modèle Muse S qui a cette caractéristique de se porter en bandeau et vous pouvez le porter en dormant. Alors pourquoi? Parce que justement ils ont créé un programme spécifique au sein de leur application qui vous permet de mesurer votre activité cérébrale pendant le sommeil avec éventuellement des applications ou des exercices qui vont vous permettre d'améliorer tout cela. Ok, Muse. Le deuxième appareil qu'il a mentionné est celui-ci, c'est Mendy. D'accord, se porte également en bandeau et vous voyez qu'ici vous avez une lumière rouge en fait qui va s'allumer, clignoter et qui va mesurer l'afflux sanguin dans le cortex préfrontal. Hein. Donc c'est la zone qui est principalement activée lorsque nous portons notre attention vers une tâche ou vers un objet, hein, que nous essayons de nous focaliser sur cet objet, va pouvoir mesurer en fait l'augmentation de l'afflux sanguin dans le cortex préfrontal. Moi, je ne travaille ni pour l'un ni pour l'autre. Hein. C'est un conseil d'amis que je vous donne. Et un autre conseil d'amis est évidemment, faites comme j'ai fait, restez aux aguets parce que souvent ils font des promotions de l'ordre de 15 voire 20% et j'ai également attendu le bon moment pour me les approprier et pour les commander. Et finalement, pour terminer, si vous voulez aller encore plus loin dans la compréhension de la méditation, la remettre dans son contexte et retourner à la source, j'ai créé un cours qui s'appelle Au cœur de la méditation, que j'ai mis en ligne. Je vous donnerai les infos en fin de vidéo également. Ce cours est payant parce que j'ai quand même mis énormément d'heures de travail dedans, mais néanmoins, il y a une promotion qui pour le moment est valable pendant encore quelques semaines. Donc là, si ça vous intéresse, vous pouvez toujours aller voir cela aussi. Voilà. Donc, en tout cas, je vais prendre congé de vous. Je vous donne toutes les informations dans un instant, c'est promis. J'espère vous retrouver bientôt. Et là, évidemment, je vous invite à vous abonner, purement gratuit. Et le prochain interview, d'ici quelques jours, sera le Dr. Rollin McCratty, qui est le directeur de la recherche à l'Institut HeartMath, qui, lui, va nous parler de cohérence cardiaque. Voilà encore un sujet passionnant. Donc, je vous dis à tout bientôt, portez-vous bien, méditez bien, et on se revoit d'ici peu. Salut!